When I was 7 years old, I went to McDonald's one sunny afternoon with my mom and little sister. The first thing that I remember about it is how busy it was. The place was packed. People were everywhere. I remember that shortly after going inside, I saw the Happy Meal toys in a case, and I stopped to look at them. I always liked seeing all the possible options of toys that I could get in the Happy Meal. I wanted to collect them all. When I looked back up, though, maybe a minute later, my mom and sister were gone. I thought they had still been standing there right near me. I looked around the crowded restaurant. People were everywhere, but none of the people that I saw were my mom or sister. As I was standing there looking around, about a minute went by, and then a woman approached me. I had never seen her before in my life, but she seemed like she somehow knew who I was. I looked up at her when she was right in front of me. She said that my mom was looking for me the way that she said it was kind of stern, like I was in trouble. I was afraid that I might actually be in trouble because my mom had always told me to stay by her when we were out in public. The woman then told me to come on and started walking. She grabbed my hand and I followed her. As we were walking, she told me that it was dangerous to wander off like I had been. The woman led me towards the exit of the McDonald's going outside. When we were just about at the doors, I got a really bad feeling. I hadn't really questioned this situation up until then, but I then realized that something had to be off. My mom hadn't even ordered yet, and we had been planning to eat inside the restaurant. So why would she have left? As we were crossing through the exit doors, I suddenly yanked my arm away from the woman. I broke off from her and then ran away through the crowd. I ran around in a panic, searching for my mom and sister like crazy. As I did, I went as far away from the woman as I could. At last, I found my mom and sister at the far left front counter about to order. When my mom saw me, she said, "There you are. It's time to order." She then ordered our food, and after getting it, we went and sat down. I didn't see the woman who had tried to make me leave with her again. I also didn't tell my mom about it, or anybody else. At the time, I was afraid if I told my mom that I would get in trouble or she would be upset. So I decided to just keep it to myself. But looking back, I know that I should have said something and that I wouldn't have gotten in trouble. The older I got, the more I realized how close I came to possibly getting kidnapped. When I was in my early 20s, I worked at my local McDonald's as a second source of income to pay for my college tuition. I attended med school in the city, which wasn't cheap at all. Sometimes we'd have to get there at really early hours of the day. I have a class every Monday and Wednesday night, meaning I'd have to get to bed early to wake up for work the next day. My manager, being the jerk that he was, gave me a week of opening shifts knowing my situation about my classes. One morning, I had arrived to work with my coworker to take out the food and help refill sauces to open the restaurant. Anyway, we're getting everything ready while I'm wiping down tables so we can open at 4. Which is the time McDonald's usually opens here in Canada. So we're doing our tasks when all of a sudden we see a man looking inside from the glass doors. He's banging on the doors in a sort of rapid motion as if he wanted to get in. I give him a sort of denying motion, telling him that we were closed. However, he insisted to come in as he claimed he was hungry and just wanted a quick bite. I apologized and told him that we were closed and to come back in an hour where I could serve him. This seemed to faze him, as he then walked away, disappearing into the night. I continue to help my coworker mop the floors before I see the man come towards the doors with what appeared to be a golf club. As expected, he smashes the glass doors and proceeded to step inside. I told my coworker that we had to leave through the back door and to call the police. She does just that, and we leave the McDonald's and into my car. Thankfully, police were able to arrive in a timely manner to catch this man going through our register. As police were restraining him, my coworker and I heard a commotion going on and a few tasers going off. After that, the police had given us the all clear to return to work. As we walk inside, we then see the police force the man into the back seat of the cruiser. His face will forever be burned into the back of my head as he stared down at us. It was a very menacing, revengeful type of look, as if the first thing he'd do once he got out of jail would be to come back for us. The inside of the McDonald's was left a wreck. Money scattered on the floor, cups misplaced, and even food items spilled on the floor. We of course had to clean it all up and finish getting everything ready to open while the police stood by to ensure our safety. We opened and the day went smoothly as planned, with no other disruptions. The following week, an employee at another McDonald's got injured during a robbery not too far away from our location. I quit after I learned that, as I didn't want to risk putting myself into danger. My area was known to be one of the safest areas in Vancouver, so for something like this to happen was rare. I ended up doing freelance work later on and eventually graduated to become a full-time nurse. When I was about 10 years old, I lived in the city, not too far from a McDonald's. I remember one day I convinced my mom to let me go there alone to get some food. She was busy with something and gave me a few dollars and told me to come back quickly. I was excited and it made me feel like a grown-up to go out on my own. I had done it several times before and it wasn't a daily thing, but here and there I would. So I left and I made my way to the McDonald's. It took me about 10 minutes to walk there. After leaving our house, I only had to walk to the end of the street, then cross a busy one. Then I went down a ways before the McDonald's was on the right side. As I approached the restaurant, a sudden urge to use the bathroom hit me. When I got inside, I saw that the place wasn't very busy, and I walked over to the bathrooms to use it before ordering. When I got inside the bathroom, nobody else was in there. I went into a stall, but only about a minute later, I heard the bathroom door open and close. This was followed by footsteps, but the footsteps didn't go in far. They seemed to stop just inside the door, and I thought this was kind of weird. I kept expecting them to walk further in, but they didn't. After about a minute, I ducked down and looked underneath the bathroom stall that I was in. I saw black shoes and the bottom of some black pants. They were standing right in front of the door. I wanted to leave, but I would have to walk past the person, so I decided to wait. As I sat in the bathroom stall, I couldn't believe how or why this person was standing there for so long. I decided that I was going to stay in the bathroom stall until they left. Eventually, after probably 10 more minutes, I heard the door open and the person walk out. I felt much better. The whole thing seemed really strange to me. Finally, I was able to leave the bathroom stall, and after I walked out of the bathroom, I looked around the restaurant. There still weren't very many people in there. However, not long after leaving the restrooms, as I was making my way over to order, I saw one man who was sitting in the corner of the restaurant. I noticed his black shoes and pants, and I realized this was more than likely the same guy. I hurried up and went to the counter to order, and I did not see the man as I did. After ordering, it didn't take long at all for me to get my food, and I then left the restaurant to walk home. I began making my way back along the sidewalk, but before making it more than 2 minutes, I had a bad feeling. I looked back, and sure enough, the same guy was trailing me. He was a little ways back and not right up on me, but it still made me really nervous. Could he be following me? This was the same man who had just been standing inside the bathroom door for so long. I kept looking back every so often, and the man was always behind me. When I started walking faster intentionally, the guy definitely did the same thing. I was now getting really worried. What if this guy followed me all the way back to my house? And what if he ran up behind me and tried to grab me or something before I could get home? As I approached the busy street to wait at the crosswalk before crossing, I had to stop. The man would probably catch up to me before I would make it across the street. That's when I decided to just go for it. I started sprinting across the road with many cars still on it. I felt confident that I could make it and would not be hit by a car. But nevertheless, multiple cars honked at me as I ran. But luckily, I did make it across safely. I looked back and saw the man starting to run out into the street as well, but a car quickly approached and honked at him. He backed up and stayed on the other side. I used this opportunity to run up into my street and out of sight of the man. I ran the whole rest of the way home and made it back a short time later. After making it home, I told my mom all about the experience, and as a result, I was not allowed to go anywhere on my own for a while, but I didn't mind a bit. I was worried that the man would have somehow found out where we lived, and I worried about that for weeks, but luckily, I don't believe he did, because I never saw him again after that.